Yo, what's up, guys? You got PokeaimMD here with a video with my boy NJNP. He can say hi.
Basement life.
Been a minute since actually anything to do with NJNP. Like I haven't used his teams in a while, but he hasn't been passing me teams, so he hasn't been working hard, unfortunately. But in any case, today we're gonna be talking about the Sun and Moon viability rankings. We're gonna be talking about a few rankings that happened, like the last 4 changes that happened, and I'll give a little bit of a backstory to this, or why I think viability rankings are important. So viability rankings are a community-based thing where people pretty much discuss how good or how viable a mon is in a tier. For example, Lennox is S rank because it can do so many different things. It can function in so many different ways, and overall, it's just one of the best in OE. Correct? Like,
Yeah, it is the best. It's
yeah,
no mon that can compare.
yeah, exactly. And obviously, to put that in perspective, you know, you got Dual Dance, you got Rocky Helmet, you got Choice Scarf, which is, I don't know why I took off the word choice and I changed it. But Lanners can do so many different things, which is why it's there. So the point of the viability rankings, and in my opinion, why I actually like them is because if you're actually trying to get into a new tier, for example, if I was trying to get into UU and I was trying to build, I could see the viability rankings, and what this allows me to do is see, okay, these are the basic or the most used threats in the tier. If I'm building a team, let me keep them in mind, or let me use one of these Pokemon because, you know, they're good. So that's the whole point of the viability rankings, in my opinion. If there is actually any other point, that's fine as well, but I think keeping up to date with the metagame without actually having to go to your team builder is pretty cool. And just knowing what is used, and even why it's used if you actually search through the thread a little bit. So in this video, NJNP and I will be going over 4 pages of drops, excuse me, and just giving our opinion on it and why it happened. And if you guys want to see, we'll link it all down below. I have every single one of these resources down below. And yeah, check out NJP's channel. This link will be down below as well. So we'll be starting off on page 112. And do you want to just bring up Magnezone real quick? They are their
Yeah.
reasoning here, but we'll be talking about it too.
Yeah. I just want to like mention like the Smogon OU vibe ranking is like referenced a lot. It's one of the most viewed posts in like Smogon in general. It has over a million. A lot of people come to this to reference this, not only for like Smogon but also for like Wi-Fi battles.
Yeah, it's just good to know. Like I said, it's good to know it's here if you want to figure it out. But yeah, you could start with the first one if you want. We're on page 112, Magnezone.
All right. Yeah. So Zone. Yeah, it rolls because it can trap annoying things like Celesteela, Scissor, Ferrothorn, all the annoying steals. Along with the fact that if you run AV on it, it can take certain hits from mons like Coco, Magirin as best as possible. You have to be wary of fighting MZ, etc. Also with Choice Scarf, you're able to check things like Deontay.
Yeah, and Pinsir as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the drop of Dugtrio being banned really opened up this mon. This mon doesn't have to worry about coming in and getting reverse trapped. Another set that actually rose in popularity, and I saw you use it, I believe, was a Gigavolt Havoc Magnezone set. So basically the ability to switch up moves, but also having that like extra push to knock out Celesteela, which is pretty good. Hitting Scissor and whatnot.
I've even seen Steelium Z and Blow Away Garchomp. So I'm not a big fan of it personally, but it is a nice lure.
Yeah. And just having the natural resist to Psychic fairy, obviously. So I do agree with the rise to A-. And the thread goes on to talk about how it pairs well with Mega Pinsir, Lopunny, Kyurem Black, and that's 100% true. Being able to trap Scissor, Skarmory, Celesteela for the aforementioned mons definitely works. So I agree. And also, like I said, like he said, being able to switch in and pretty much check all the top boosts is pretty big for a Pokemon in itself. So I agree with that. You can
yeah, but like Zone's like it's the only, since Dugtrio is gone, it's the only mon that can legit like trap and remove Mega Mawile from a game, which is like considered the best Mega right now. If you just sub on it when we predict their Sucker Punch, and you can literally click his Electric Z like you already said with Celesteela, and like just remove it from play.
Yeah. But that's pretty big. Like just being able to trap in general.
Trapping is always gonna be great.
Always great. Always great. Magnezone's been a top tier mon since it came out. Like you got Excadrill, which you know, I'm not sure like exactly what the B to B plus necessarily means for it, but the fact that it's just reliable, getting up rocks, even on sand. I've seen I know this one's more so referring to the fact that it works better for HO, and it always has, being a Scarf Rapid Spinner, being able to also get up rocks for it, like a Sash lead, for example, like the lead that you see in Ubers. And then you can also turn it around and run it on sand with like SD Corkscrew Crash, for example, to break through Landorus. And with this, you could pair with something like I've seen Excadrill Lopunny being ran on teams, and Excadrill having the extra push with the Z move to be able to deal with Landorus, Mew, Pokemon like that, allowing Lopunny an easier time. Also, naturally dealing with Toxapex if you are boosted. So, I don't know. Excadrill's like a weird mon. Like, I don't think there's really much to talk about it. We know what it does. It abuses sand, as well with the rise of, Mega T-Tar being everywhere. But Mega T-Tar isn't really a Pokemon that needs Excadrill with it. Mega T-Tar is its own type of Pokemon that we'll be discussing later as well. But do you have really anything else to say about that mon?
I mean, yeah, no, it's a great HO lead. You're setting up rocks. You're preventing rocks from going up because, most Landos recently have been running leftovers with Rocky Helmet, so if they try to spin rocks, you just spin them off. It's an okay offensive hazard measure. But yeah, I mean, main reason it rose is because of its utility for HO, just setting up rocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus Mega Sableye to more important versus Stall.
Yeah, I agree. Being able to get a rocks versus that. Hawlucha staying at B. Now, honestly, in my opinion, I think Hawlucha's a really big sleeper Pokemon. They're...
Oh, it rose to B. It rose to B.
Yeah, it rose to B, excuse me. B to B. Sorry, I didn't see the extra dash. Yeah, Hawlucha rose to B. I think Hawluchas are huge sleeper Pokemon. If your team does not have Clefable, if your team does not have Haze Toxapex, if you're running Speedy Mew, you need to be running Defensive Mew to be dealing with this mon, by the way. Speedy Mew is getting, like, blown away after Stealth Rock. +2 aggro. Like, I actually not a fan of Speedy Mew in general, but Hawlucha's a really big sleeper Pokemon, and this talks about how...
Wait. I'm sorry. Wait, Speedy Mew? That's the thing?
Yeah. I had Speedy Mew, 290 speed for Zygarde, Kyurem Black. I don't like that type of Mew at all. I don't.
Is it like Sash or something?
No. Speedy Mew is in, like, it just has a lot of speed.
Oh, you said Speedy Mew. I'm sorry. In my head, I computed Clefable somehow.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah.
You definitely know what Speedy Mew is. You're giving me teams with it. But if you don't have any of those mons, and the thread talks about how it's standard on a lot of rain builds, which I agree with. It is definitely standard. It gives rain, that abuse, and pair with Mega Swampert, they really do run through everything. But if your team doesn't have Toxapex, Clefable, or Defensive Mew, I really feel like Hawlucha just is able to set up, and the fact that the terrain seeds are around, this mon can function with Bulu, it can function with Koko, it can function with Lele and Feeny. Really cool for this Pokemon, being able to boost and having access to Roost, which I think is pretty big as well for being able to set up on Landorus. If Landorus is defensive, if you run SC, you got Electricity, you can Roost, you pretty much beat Landorus 1v1. And then you run High Jump Kick and Acrobatics. But yeah, if your name isn't Toxapex with Haze or Clef to Oko with Moonblast, it's just a giant sleeper Pokemon, I feel like. And it's really easy to wear down your team for this Pokemon, or even to use this Pokemon to wear down your team, because like it said, on a lot of rain builds, you're already taking hits from Swampert, Kingdra, Tapu Koko constantly and getting worn down by Pelipper's U-turn. Like, this is a Pokemon that's really easy, I feel like, to fit on a whole bunch of different builds. Before even it was an OU, it was used back in the UU tier on Aurora Veil builds, and it was just a busted mon being able to set up on Pokemon like Crocodile, and now, it can actually set up on Pokemon like Landorus if they're not running Flying Z or whatnot. Do you want to add anything about Hawlucha?
I love this mon. Love what it's able to do with rain. I didn't expect it to catch on when I first applied it, but yeah, I mean, it's so unique because it's able to handle things like Ferrothorn and Tangle for rain,
which is great for rain.
Yeah. Pressure out Venusaur, just standard things that rain doesn't appreciate. And as you said, goes really well with Swampert.
Yeah, because Swampert's like one of the Pokemon. My bad to cut you off. Like, Swampert's one of those mons that doesn't have any switching. Like, really, like Adamant Swampert just got so much better, and like you're already wearing down Pokemon. So you can keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, like the drop of usage for Zapdos was a big help to Hawlucha, and like bands like Dugtrio with mons like T-Tar and Heatran, mons that Dugtrio were trapping, people were wary of using, etc. Rising, Zapdos usage is dropping because those mons are constantly pressuring it out. And yeah, you know, with that, it's just Toxapex can, Hawlucha can go crazy. Yeah, only has to worry about Toxapex at the same time. Some Toxapex don't even run haze, so they have to depend on burn.
Yep.
Times. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Or like toxic spikes, all recover. One thing to add, and this is to answer a question someone might have, like why do Pokemon change? It really just depends on what's being ran in the tier and what's picking up in popularity, whether that be from tournament play or from actual suspect tests in general. Like when Dugtrio fell, a lot of Pokemon rose up in popularity. Magearna, quote unquote, got worse. Quote unquote. I say that with big quotes. I still think that thing is ridiculous.
Broken.
Yeah. But for example, in the next one, it says, it starts the sentence with, Alakazam has been garbage for a while, but we kind of just forgot about it. This is a mon that during OST, so early on in the year,
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I know ABR was running a team with it because it did get counter from the virtual console, which was pretty cool. Being able to run counter, but like if you see an Alakazam, you're typically, if you're hitting it with a physical move, it's because you already broke its sash. Like, and this is Alakazam in general, guys, not Mega Alakazam. This is just Alakazam. So if you're fighting Alakazam in general, you're typically not attacking it. This metagame is a lot different than what it was before. Before, you had Mega Metagross running around, which would always attack it, or Quick Pursuit, or Meteor Mash, Thunder Punch, whatever, and you could just counter it. You could HP Fire Scissor, or HP Landorus's. You could stand on Landorus's U-turn and counter whatever's coming in. It has a whole bunch of tools. Having Sash Magic Guard is really cool, Encore, but I agree. Nobody's clicking a physical move on Alakazam unless it's either on switching or its sash is already broken. Like typically, the way Zam gets in is either on maybe a U-turn from Scissor or like coming in on a Scald from Toxapex. So you're already, you know, wasting your sash. Like this Pokemon has to come in on weekend moves, pretty much. So, I mean, I agree with the drop. What do you think?
Yeah, Zam's pretty. It's still a pretty cool mon. For what he can do. You definitely can't use Life Orb anymore. That's no longer effective. Because of mons like Magearna.
Yeah.
So it leaves you with Sash, and you know the whole niche with Sash was, generally speaking, you would run Hazard Stack, and you would either stack with Skarmory or your Ferrothorn, and you would depend on that to handle any sweepers that are trying to abuse you setting up and not having, you know, like Whirlwind, etc. to force it out Hazer. So yeah, you know, Alakazam, it's dropping is no surprise. It's definitely not as effective as it used to be with the rise of. I mean, I feel like Clefable added was a lot of reason why stuff dropped. Its usage having from the, because when the tier started, Clefable was nowhere to be seen, to be honest. And then Pheromosa started becoming crazy, so people were like, "Oh, let's run Clefable." Yeah, and let's run Clefable for Pheromosa, and especially the Quiver Dance, etc. And yeah, I mean, Pinkmon's being Pinkmon.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Though a Life Orb Zam is by no means bad. Like Life Orb Psychic, for example, 2 KOs Clefable easily. 2 KOs
it isn't bad. Yeah, it isn't bad.
But I mean, why use that when I could use Mega Zam and get the boost, or Trace Beast boost or whatnot, Trace Regenerator or whatnot keep coming in. So
Trace Swiftling. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's go to page 113. So this is a big one. Toxapex rose from A+ to S. You got Charizard from B to B+, and then Quagsire from C to B. And then we have a few drops, which we'll also be discussing, because some of them I don't agree with. He knows which one. But I like this first sentence. Why is Pex the same rank as Landor T and Magearna, who can run like 5 different skits routines while Toxapex only attacking move is Scald? You can start it off with Toxapex, bro.
Toxapex, I hate this mon so much with a passion. So Toxapex, I hated the notion that people said it was a passive mon. I just never understood the fact. It is a mon that requires a lot of support, but there's so many fantastic mons that require support, like Mega Sableye, Clefable at times with Hazard Stack, T-Wave. There's mons like Marowak who require support, like Trick Room. You know, it is able to it single-handedly kind of like changed the structure of OU. I feel like, because Toxic Spikes were not a worry last generation at all. You could legit go without a team without having to worry about Toxic Spikes, but now you either have to try to at least fit a defogger on, at least run mons that don't want to get affected by Toxic Spikes, or you're gonna have to have a team that can pressure and not let it get a Toxic Spikes, and you have to play well enough. But if you play versus a good player with Toxic Spikes, especially with the popular core with Celesteela and Toxic Spikes, it is a really hard core to handle. It's an annoying core to handle. a good player by the name of Zamok. He made this really cool team. Coco, Lando, Mega Medicham, Celesteela, Toxapex, and I feel like that team right there just shows how great Toxapex is.
Because it can fit on any build.
Yeah, it can fit on most builds. That is an HO, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's able to stop very important things like, you know, Vince Suicune with Haze. As you already said, you can stop Paluchi with Haze. Like, it's not I feel like because it also holds the move, of course, which is Scald and I don't can burn everything. It's definitely not a passive mon. It's not a mon it's definitely not a mon you can easily set up with. Generally speaking, you're going to be having to force it out with a strong special attack or a powerful ground attack. And even then, you can't directly, like, let's switch in, let's say, Garchomp or Landorus because you're afraid of getting Scald burned.
Exactly.
It's
literally the best pivot in OU. And, you know, I put that up there with, you know, Landorus being a great pivot Pokemon in itself, defensive. Celesteela being a great pivot Pokemon because of Leech Seed. But the fact is, Toxapex also has Regenerator, so it's a mon that can come in, take a hit, swap out, has great recovery, ridiculous stats. If they gave this thing HP, if they actually give this thing good HP, man, oh my god. But it's a mon in general. Like you talked about, the rise of Toxic Spikes, like it makes it being able to fit on everything. Like I'll have teams with Toxapex on the team just so I don't have to deal with Toxapex in itself. And it's not a passive mon in a sense that it easily wears down Pokemon, not by its own right, but like by the T-Spike being up, by the fact that it's toxic. For example, I can keep him Toxapex on Zapdos if I want to, unless it's Electrium Z, and just toxic it, and there you go, your Defogger gone, set up T-Spikes after, same thing with Mantine. It pretty much forces Defoggers to be ran. The rise of Kartana is definitely due to Toxapex, being a Defogger that doesn't have to deal with, T-Spikes, but also being able to deal with the Celesteela Toxapex core with SD Fightium.
But like the issue with that, like I've actually like you made up a great point. But the issue with that, and I've done this every single time. I've actually been in tournament games where I'm literally praying, do not burn me.
It's called, yes, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
If it burns you, you're screwed. You like so much for your Defogger. It's gonna get up Toxic Spikes, and you're just gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, I agree. I would compare it to Alamola in the the last generations. Where it's a mon like you hate switching into it. But it's not as passive as it because of the actual T-Spike. But it's just Pokemon that comes in, takes a hit, and you can switch out from it. I mean, it loses to being flinched by Ash Greninja. But if you don't get that flinch off, that's another thing. Like Toxapex just toxics you, Scald burns you, whatnot.
Like Toxapex, generally speaking, has been running max special defense more often as well. So it's really hard to get up that Ash form.
Yeah, exactly, versus Toxapex teams, unless you're like spike stacking and whatnot. And even then it has recover. There's also, like during the Duck Trio era, it was running Shed Shell super often because that way it couldn't be trapped. And now you obviously have Black Sludge leftovers. I've also seen Ipapa Berry and Pyapa Berry. So, well, maybe not Ipapa. The Super Citrus Berry, I've seen one of those.
I'm still a fan of Shed Shell because of Heatran and Magma Storm trying to remove.
Yeah, it's
like
definitely big. For Taunt, Tran, and whatnot. That's another thing. Like it's a Pokemon that all around can switch it on.
It doesn't require like recovery to be effective.
Exactly. It doesn't need it. It really doesn't need Black Sludge or anything. Like, I agree completely. And I thought the Super Citrus Berry was pretty cool because I saw a replay, I think posted in this thread, of Toxapex being almost flinched down by Dark Pulse, but then the berry popped and that boy got to 60-something%, and Greninja got stalled out. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then Pyapa Berry is cool because you could take you could pivot in once on like on random, not random, but like on a Lele or like a Lottie or whatnot, and get up a T-Spike if crucial. Like for example, Lele, it's not the same as when Stall had Duck Trio, but one of the problem with like Lele was that for fatter teams, it was a lot harder for you to get chip damage on a Pokemon like that because you have to switch in on it and then constantly recover, for example. So that'd be cool, like in that sense. But no,
there's been tons of games where games have ended because Lele switched into Toxapex and it's Scald burned.
Yeah, exactly, and it was able just to be worn down because you just recover with the rest of your team. So it's not a mon that's like ridiculous. Like Landorus or Magearna, but in its own right, it definitely defined the OU metagame.
It defines the OU meta. Yeah, you're completely right. It defines the OU metagame a lot. There's a lot of games that just last. There's teams where are literally built where like, how do you handle this mon? Oh, you PP stall with Roost with another mon and Toxapex. You know. Yep.
A lot of like you said, it pretty much changed balance completely. Like or even just off, as long as it's not hyper offense, you can just run Toxapex on your team, man. I think Ray ran it every single week for, it's like maybe one except for like SBL. Though that was obviously newer into the generation, but and during the duck show meta and whatnot. But like, it's just one of those mons that you can just put it on your team, and people don't like playing it, man. It's so bulky. A lot of games come down to Skull Burns versus Skull Burn, Toxapex, and then like you said, PP stalling it out, Leech Seed stalling it. But it's a great mon. It's one that's just able to pivot on everything. It's like one of those splash on mons. Like, you know how you see those random teams with Chansey on the ladder?
Yep.
Now you can see random teams with Toxapex on the ladder too. That doesn't seem to fit, but helps so much with T-Spikes, and like, it doesn't lose to much.
Nope.
Yeah, so that's the reason why.
It's also pretty reliable for Celeste.
Exactly, being able to Skull Burn it and not care about Leech Seed, Heavy Slam, Flamethrower, a big thing. And once you Skull Burn Celesteela, you pair that with like maybe like knockoff Pharaoh or whatever, Celesteela getting worn down. So that's again a great point right there. It doesn't care about being worn down because of Regenerator and its own reliable recovery, and it can just pivot in and pivot out.
You can legit run Toxapex and Clefable, and you'd be fine versus Celesteela.
Yep.
Because as soon as it's burned, Heavy Slam's not doing anything to
Exactly. Exactly. So the next one is Zard, and it's funny because before that tournament, before the tournament where it actually showed 3-attack Zard, I was literally talking with people and I was like, look, the best Zard is one that does not set up. Zard X is really, really good, but the problem is if you set up, you're forced to either attack or switch out versus landers. Just hit it and go, and I think it's the same thing in League play. So I was really, really happy when someone finally showed 3-attacks Roost Zard doing well in a tournament, because I think that was always its best set in this generation, just because what's been running around. You can't set up and beat through Toxapex because they'll just haze you. Why not Earthquake, potentially 2-hit KO it, Dragon Claw and Earthquake with rocks, 2-hit KO, especially now that they're running more Spadef. So I really love that Charizard is finally seeing that.
I was a bit, many people, especially people in good series know, I was a very big hater of Charizard X when Ducktrio was around. I called it a Digimon and everything. But after Ducktrio got removed, I used it 2 times in Snake. It put in work both games. I agree with you. I think Charizard X with 3 attacks Roost is definitely its
Strongest set.
Yeah, I was say most consistent set.
I agree. Yeah, that's the word. Most consistent, easily.
And then I'll shout out to my man's Lefty. See, I've used this set. It's pretty crazy, but the effect and the work that the set puts in has actually been pretty fantastic. SD, Flame Charge, Earthquake, and then Dragon Rush. Is it pretty crazy? 100%.
Why have Dragon Rush over Dragon Claw?
Well, it's able to kill after an SD certain mons after rocks.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you risk the miss, but like its effectiveness, it's been pretty amazing. There's been a lot of games where your opponent goes into a mana fodder, you flame charge, and then there's
yeah. It's with a boost and then
like it's a sorry to interrupt, but yeah, no, it's a very, very effective mon. You can run bulky sets like Wisp. Yeah, it's you're able to, you know, take physical attacks, you know, Wisp, and proceed.
Nice tank Zard X, made that with my boy Hugo like 4 years ago.
And then there's some games where you just don't even know what set it is. You don't know if it's like as soon as the game starts, you don't know if it's Charizard X or Charizard Y, and you're even like, let's say there's been certain games where opponent would assume it's Charizard Y, you Dragon Claw the Latios coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's Zard Y, Latios is always the best pivot besides Toxapex. If it's Zard X, Landorus X is always the best pivot besides Toxapex again.
Yeah.
So like, it's one of those mons as well. Like I like. As I was saying, 3 attacks is best because it's the Pokemon that has reliable recovery. It's able to break through Celesteela, Clefable, which is Flare Blitz. Even Toxapex, if it's for death, it dies to Dragon Claw and Earthquake. So that's something you have to worry about. And then even on top of that, it still has great sets like Dragon Dance, Roost. It's not a great set, and it's definitely not the most consistent set because Landorus is everywhere and whatnot. Toxapex can just haze you or toxic you. But being able to set up on Pokemon like Mew, being able to set up on Pokemon like Tangrowth, certain Heatran, well, they should all be running Toxic, but things like that. You can even set up on like Feeny if it's not running Taunt or Haze. I don't know what the hell that Feeny's running, but it's like Defog, Dual thing, yeah, even that, Nature's Madness, whatever. It's not as consistent as 3 attacks because 3 attacks, like Zard, you have like I just said, cookie cutter ways of dealing with it. You go Latios if you think it's Zard Y, and you probably pivot out if you think there's a Tyranitar or something. And you go Landorus and Toxapex Mantine maybe, but even Mantine, like Mantine if it's Zardex, Dragon Claw rocks up to a KOs. So and it does still have, you talked about SD, Dragon Dance. I've even seen random Belly Drum, Tank Zardex. Like it has a lot of utility, but it's just the most consistent set is easily the 3 attacks one, and that's just because what's running around. And I'm really happy. Like I always feel like this is one of the sleeper mons, and when I see people using it, they use it wrong. Because a lot of people try to set up when the Lanternus is at full just to get off Flare Blitz damage, and that's, you know, that's fine if you're trying to open up the door for maybe whatever you have pair with it, some sort of physical attack you have pair with it. Maybe you have Zardex plus Garchomp or Zardex Zygarde, whatever, you know, double dragon. But why do that when you can just attack and then switch and then come back in and roost on Ferrothorn or Mew? You literally get a free roost on Mew because Mew runs Will-O-Wisp, Ice Beam, and maybe Psychic occasionally. Maybe you'll see an Earthquake Mew, but even then that won't do that much.
Well, yeah, I mean, Earth Power and Earthquake me, like, it's
like 40 something.
Yeah. It depends on your set. It's a pain in the butt, that's for sure. Because it makes it hard to beat it 1v1, and you're wasting tons of roosts just to heal off the damage. But man,
you wear that one down with like Toxapex, bro. You run Zardex Toxapex, great core.
There you go.
That's all you gotta do. Great core. Break for each other. Literally kill everything for each other.
Basically, what we're trying to tell you at the end of this video, go throw Toxapex on all your teams like it's a chance. Call yourself White Queen and go from
all right, next up. I think we talk about Zardex a lot. I'm really glad that it's seeing uses, and I was really happy to see it. I knew it would be 3 attacks, man. I was so happy to see it be 3 attacks in tournament play. Like I said, I don't know if you played much League play as well, but like whenever I see this Pokemon, I see people say, man, Zardex is so bad in draft. I was like, why are you trying to Dragon Dance up when your opponent has Rhyperior, Regirock, and every other rock type in the game? Like, just attack. What?
Well, in fact, I'm doing, we started our first draft, tournament in Good Saturdays, and my first round draft pick was Charizard X.
Nice. Because that's a Pokemon you don't want to deal with either.
Yeah, I drafted all the things I didn't want to do. If I drafted Clefable, I drafted Charizard X. If I could have drafted Toxapex, I would have done that as well.
No, that's why Manaphy became the captain of the Bronze Beartix, bro. I wanted it, Manaphy, because I didn't want to deal with Manaphy at all. And it's a great Pokemon in general. But yeah, Quagsire moved from C+ to B. This has a lot to do with Dugtrio being gone. Now you can no longer trap the physical attackers, so Quagsire has that staple back on stall, being able to be the underwear wall and whatnot, dealing with them. And it names a few Pokemon right here, but Quagsire is always literally the same Pokemon in any tier. It doesn't matter if Quagsire drops down to PU, you can still use it in every tier and use it the exact same way.
Also a pretty legit measure for physical Coco.
I agree. Which also rises in popularity because of Magearna and whatnot, at one point anyway. So this is the one you're talking about, Zapdos. Do you want to talk about it? Like
Zapdos?
Yeah,
the one dropping? Yeah. So yeah, like, you know, we kind of covered this in the, I guess later on, but before, but yeah, with things like T-Tar rising, also Roost Coco being a thing more often. Like, you know, Zapdos hasn't been thus effective. More teams have been prepping for it. You know, like Charizard X is a legit switch into Zapdos, but you know, you have to risk Para, sadly. But it is still, Charizard X still, technically speaking, is one of the best measures for it because you can actually beat it.
Exactly. Naturally take it on.
That's all I gotta say.
It's still a good mon, great coverage. You know, all you need is Hidden Power Ice, Heat Wave, Discharge. You deal with pretty much everything. This is not to say that it's not a great mon at all. But again, Rise of Banded T-Tar being everywhere. You got Pokemon like KB. You got Toxic Heatran. Toxapex toxic this mon and doesn't care about it anymore. And you just infinitely pivot into Tangrowth Toxapex and just beat it 1v1. And like you talked about, Roost Coco also rising up. And even Kartana starting to run SD Darkium. Like I kept seeing that. I was like, why the hell are they running this? And
yeah, because of Zapdos.
KO Zapdos after rocks, which is pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's pretty cool.
Dark and grass coverages.
Yeah, it's everything. But I like all out pummeling. But that's my favorite Z move, so I'm biased towards it anyway.
That's fair.
The animation. Okay, Marowak. Marowak is weird, right? Because earlier on in the generation, you know, you had it everywhere because it was an answer to Pheromosa, right?
Genesect as well.
Exactly, Genesect as well. But obviously we're not in that setting anymore. You definitely see Marowak all the time on that Trick Room team with Uxie, Magearna, SD Marowak, Cresselia, you know. Great staple. And being able to run, I remember when everybody switched from Lightning Rod to Rockhead, and like one way that Stall would deal with SD Marowak, because obviously Doug Show couldn't trap it, was recoil stalling it, obviously. Chansey, you go Chansey, you take 80% from Flare Blitz, Marowak takes like 9 million % back. So then when they started running that, and then again on other teams they can run Lightning Rod. It does have that staple on Trick Room, but Quagsire being able to deal with it on Stall. The fact that it's weak to rocks. I do like the fact that Shadow Bone doesn't like make contact though, even though it is a physical move. I do like that. So you can easily wear down landers coming in, take like 30-40% if it's defensive, and not take any damage from that. So I think that's pretty cool. And being Lightning Rod, it's still a check to Magearna. A pretty decent check, taking Bolt Beam on and whatnot.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's just a staple on Trick Room, and that's why it hasn't really gone up, because it's not like a big impactful mon, but it does have that place on Trick Room. So I don't think there's much to talk about that mon.
I used Trick Room 2 times, and Snake won both of my games. That mon's fucking disgusting on Trick Room.
Yeah, it kills everything.
Yeah.
All right, so
yeah, you don't want to face it.
Conkeldurr unrated. During the OLT run, we saw a team with Aurora Veil, Ninetales plus Conkeldurr, and it was pretty cool. Have that little niche. Obviously, this mon, apparently it's Robert Easton less than usually run it. I mean, that's true. I actually haven't seen much of Aurora Veil these days either.
Which
is crazy. I think it's because of the rise of Tar everywhere, whatnot. Obviously, rain teams running around. Like, you either got a Hail or Hypnosis on the Switch and try and get up a Hail after. But I guess it just hasn't been seeing much usage from that. And the fact that it doesn't really beat Toxapex. Like, Facade, plus 2, like a neutral Facade is going to hurt a Spinette Toxapex. It will 2-hit KO Toxapex, but just regenerate her out.
Conkeldurr saw usage in OU because it got banned from UU. And people were like, oh, if it got banned from UU, let's see if we can make it work in OU.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. All right, let's move on to Buzzwole. Buzzwole actually got unrated or unranked, and I got a little bit sad about this because I used Buzzwole to a lot of success the other day. I think Sub Buzzwole is honestly its best set. A lot of this is because obviously Clefable does Wallet, but I use Sub Focus Punch, Earthquake Ice Punch, and it pretty much deals with everything. Can 2-hit KO Toxapex with Rocks up. If it's Spadef, it always 2-hit KOs. Being able to sub up on Scissor, being able to sub up on Zygarde, just having that niche, subbing up on defensive landers. Obviously, you got to watch out for FlyMZ. I don't think it should be unrated. I really do think it's pretty cool. And the team I used, it had great support for it as well. Coco, Knockoff, Ferrothorn, 3-attack Zard X, Landers, all mons that pretty much deal with what Buzzwole does not like. And even Mantine as a defensive pivot. So I really think it's pretty cool. And I don't think it should be unranked, but what's your opinion on it? I know you said Clefable pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as effective as it used to be like when it first. Well, CB had this crazy statement that Pheromosa was not as good as Buzzwole. That was crazy times. But yeah, no, it's just not as effective as it used to be. I agree with the ranking, but you bring up some fair points. Nothing is going, like, at least we'll see. Ultra Sun and Moon's gonna change things. We'll see.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I just think it's decent, especially with a team that actually prepped for Toxic Spikes, which you should be prepped for anyway. It's pretty cool. Just breaking through things. It's bulkier than you think, man. Like, the HP stat is fat, defensive stat is fat. But let's move on to
it's hella bulky.
Yeah, it's ridiculously bulky. So next one, only 2 more pages left, guys. This last one has a lot though. But do you want to talk about Mega Scissor first, or should I? Or?
Sure.
Okay,
I mean,
you can go.
Yeah, I mean it's a defogger like similar to Kartana that doesn't get affected by T spikes. That just shows how significant the Toxapex is. It's able to switch into good mons and legit take their hits. There's been a lot of Hidden Power
Fire and Hidden Power Ice as well. Both of those running around. Hidden Power Ice is really cool with Brave Nature because it always 2-hit KOs defensive landers. That's really and if you're max defense, you literally always take it on. If you run a little bit of attack, I think 96 attack Adamant also lets you 2-hit KO Metachan most of the time with Bullet Punch, which is pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure Hidden Power Fire Scissor is like the best Kartana measure.
Yeah, easily. Max defense, magic speed, doesn't care. It takes +2 Z move. It's bulkier than Skarmory, so takes that. Also takes on opposing Scissor, which is pretty cool as well. Like,
yeah. And if you guys don't know, the only reason, sorry, to interrupt, but like the only reason like that Hidden Power is used because of Technician. If it weren't for Technician, you wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, exactly. But Technician actually makes it get 2 KOs and OHKOs, which is really cool. Like, Scissor is an answer to Scissor if you're running HP Fire, which is really cool. And, like, Scissor moved up because just being able to pivot and defog, T-Spike teams, checking Kartana, which definitely rose in popularity, opposing landers. I think it's a really cool pivot mon. I feel like last generation, and I guess it's coming to that point in this generation again, though we are coming to a close with it. This is a Pokemon that, if you want to make a Pokemon do something, for example, if you want to use a Grumpig on your team, you're probably going to throw in a Scizor because Scizor gets a slow U-turn into Grumpig. Like, this is one of those Pokemon that just pivots into whatever you want. So, like, whenever somebody would pass me a team is like, hey, man, this team it's really cool. It has, it has Slow King on it and this. You would see Scizor on the team because Scizor is a mon that will reliably getting your Pokemon without much cost. So,
yep.
Reliable recovery. And, like, Scizor isn't in that part of the metagame where it's offensive. Rarely will you see an SD Scizor. Rarely will you see SD U-turn even, which is the set that was quote-unquote offensive. It's a Scizor that can't really sweep, but rarely will you see that. You'll always see like Defog, Roost, U-turn, Bullet Punch, HP Fire, HP Ice, things like that. Even random knockoff, whatnot, just to be able to pivot in on certain mons and help. So Scizor rose because of the pivoting. They have their own reasoning right here. I'm not sure. Being able to check Magearna is pretty cool too. Shift gear.
Another like important thing that always says the rules is able to revenge Mega Deontay.
Yeah.
And switch in, of course, but yeah,
that's really big. That's really big. Deontay's
it also forced it is. But yeah, it also forces, well, not forces, but generally speaking, most QRMBs are running Hidden Power Fire because of it.
Yep.
It's definitely a great mon.
And a great check to that as well. Now, this is one of the mons that has risen through the generation. It has not seen uses like this since X and Y. But Mega Tyranitar has risen from B+ to A-. Now, Mega Tyranitar, it's so cool. I'm so happy. This mon can just sweep in its own. Naturally bulky, Dragon Dance up, Ice Punch. But what makes it different this generation from Oras, where obviously Mega Lopunny was released and, Mega Metacham, this Pokemon wasn't able to set up much. And, their Pokemon are still here. But the reason this mon is so good, and I talked about it earlier, I touched on it, is because what's good in the tier currently. Because Toxapex Mew is really good in the tier currently, Lopunny has lower usage. Even though Lopunny can run, like, Facade Power Up Punch, even then, like, it dies.
Ooh, that's some heat, Joey. Calm down, goddamn.
Oh, that's a set that's been ran, dude.
That's some heat.
Facade Power Up Punch breaks through that, bro. But, like, anyway. I love the fact that because those Pokemon aren't as great as they were because of Celesteela, Landorus, Toxapex everywhere, so Pokemon that would typically threaten Tyranitar, Tyranitar is able to be ran, and all you need is run is Dragon Dance, Stone Edge, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, literally hits everything. Zygarde, Garchomp, Landorus, Scizor, Ferrothorn, and then Stone Edge is just a strong move to break through Clefable. Like, being 3 KO'd by Moonblast from Clefable and Sand is ridiculous as well. Naturally bulky, eats hits from Landorus, can take Earthquakes, takes Earthquakes from Garchomp, sets up on Zapdos, literally stopping Zapdos or lowering Zapdos usage in itself, and can set up even on teams with Aurora Veil, but it doesn't have to be on teams with Aurora Veil. Just a great setup mon in general. And I've even seen a Pursuit one, which is pretty cool, being able to reliably switch on Lele. Even taking Moonblast is pretty cool. And like Ice Beam, Lure, whatnot. Also checking Magearna is a pretty big one. Naturally checking Magearna is really big. Unless it's running like Fightium or Farium. Even Farium.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't use, because Ice Beam T-Bow coverage has dropped in usage. Everyone preps for it now. Yeah. So you in my opinion, the best set's Farium now. Yeah, because it deals with Mew. Pharaoh. It's too strong. Yeah. I agree. But yeah, T-Tar, I mean, yeah, it's also able to set up rocks to be a nice support utility mon. What else? Oh, it's able to benefit from the terrains. Like Bulu, it doesn't take as much from Earthquake. It's able to benefit from if you DD enough. Well, yeah. If you just DD, you're able to benefit from Lele, Psychic Terrain. Don't have to worry about Bullet Punch from Scissor or Shuriken from Ninja. In particular, it's a mon that I'm really, as Joey said, like, I'm happy that it's good again. It was a fun mon back in X and Y. It's having relevance in this. It's so cool, dude. It was like I used it in World Cup back in X and Y. Mon won me the game. It was sick. Dude, I had Terrakion Landorus. I just set up. I didn't care. Goat. So I was looking through the reading and I was like, why are they talking about all these Pokemon that are not actually here? But I don't think they're in drops. There's so many drops, but I think the only ones we're gonna talk about will be. I can go over them all real quick. Yeah.
Let's forget Gyarados, Chandelure, Shuckle, because I don't think they matter as much. Shuckle does the same thing.
Yeah.
Chandelure can just click specs buttons because Pursuit isn't as common unless you're running Banitar. And Gyarados is an interesting one. But being able to deal with or break through Celesteela, Toxapex to an extent, depending to an extent.
I don't think people should be using Gyarados in my opinion. It's not that great Pokemon. People overhype the crap out of it, in my opinion.
So there's way too many drops here that we're not going over every single one. But like I said, we're gonna go over the important ones, which are Magearna, Greninja, Zygarde, Mew, and then I'd put.
Where do you want to stop? What do you want to stop at?
Zard, Y, I think.
I mean, okay, I guess. Sure.
I was gonna stop at Tangrowth, but then I saw Zard Y. But okay, so you can start with Magearna.
I was one of the two people that did not voted for this to stay S. I don't agree with this at all. It's still it is the metagame still. I just felt this was foolish, but there was a hype train around dropping it because it's not been effective in tours lately. But that's just because people. I don't think it's. I don't know. If you still have the right set, it's still gonna screw you over.
Yeah, I faced Trick Room, dude. I was up like 4-1, and the one side I didn't think about was Shookaberry Trick Room, and I lost to that.
Yeah, I feel like Trick Room is. I don't know. Lately I've found Magearna the most effective on Trick Room teams, to be honest, and that's mainly because Trick Room teams are generally speaking just breaking all of his checks to crap where it just ends up winning late game. But yeah, Magearna, I find it more effective on teams that are breaking like HO teams for it, HO teams and Trick Room teams like breaking for it. I feel like it's where it can be most effective and pressure you the crap out of you the most. It still is the best AVer in the tier. It's still taking ridiculous attacks. We can even take Charizard Y Flamethrower as supposedly super effective. Like that's just crazy to think about. Yeah, this mod should be S rank. That's like.
Yeah, I mean, it has so much utility, Shift Gear, Calm Mind, Trick Room. Again, the Solve Edge is really ridiculous. The fact that you could take 2 Kingdra Hydro Pumps in the rain is stupid. Like, what? How's that possible in a mod that doesn't resist? Even mods that resist get 2 KO'd. But, really cool from Magearna. I don't really agree with it being down from S to A+. I know everybody preps for it, but even then, like, Calm Mind Farium is also rising. Like, I've actually used a set. Shift Gear, Calm Mind, HP Fire, Farium. And it's actually ridiculously good because
HP Fire is so underrated. It's so good.
I agree because like everybody uses Ferrothorn Mew to deal with it, so you literally break through those. And when Ferrothorn Mew are gone, I can run something like Coco next to it, deals with everything else that can't touch.
Run something like Bandit, Tyranitar for Heatrans.
Exactly. Like it's really good. Just Shift Gear HP Fire I think is actually pretty decent in general. Like I actually like it a lot because you don't have to Shift Gear up immediately. You just click HP Fire a couple times when Ferrothorn comes in. Stopping it from getting recovery due to its KO. But yeah, I don't know. Mag, I still think Mag should be S rank. I still think there should be a suspect test for Mag.
Yep.
That's just my opinion, though, I guess. But I'm surprised. I mean, I understand. Like, I feel like, and this is something I talked about a lot. I feel like the tiers aren't going to be stable until like 8th gen. Like honestly, and I feel like we'll still have problems with 7th gen because I feel like 7th gen is really tough to balance. So many Pokemon in different tiers, and a lot of them are so busted in that tier. And it's just based on usage. So I don't know if we should change up the way we do things. I understand usage is important. It's smart as well, but early on in a generation,
there needs to be more complex spans.
I think so too. I think complex banks should exist. And I also think I should have Blaziken back, but that's just anyway, Greninja, A+A. This isn't Battlemon Greninja, by the way. This is just Protean. I guess I understand it because the only Protean set being ran. This is just Battlemon, right? This is just Protean, right?
Yeah, no, it's Protean.
Okay, so I think the main thing is the only set that's really ran on that set anymore is Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf, U-Turn, Gunk Shot, Rock Slide, Ice Beam. Like literally the only set you really see on Protean these days.
You generally speaking don't see Life Orb being used on it. If it's not Scarf, it's a Z move.
Yep.
Or
exactly.
Like PokeaimMD for Toxapex or fighting for Ferrothorn, Chansey, etc.
There's a point where during I think was it SPL or it was some tournament that Extra Belt was really good, because one of Greninja's big things versus fatter teams again was it was really hard for them to wear it down, and typically they could just life orb stall it. So I really liked Extra Bell at that point during that shift in the meta. And maybe a Dark Pulse HP Fire Greninja could still be really cool right now, especially with what's being ran. Like you just run some lure set, Dark Pulse, HP Fire, Extra Sensory. Because Protein Greninja is not a water type. It's not a water dark type. It's whatever type it wants to be. But it's definitely that 4 move slot syndrome that it wants to be able to deal with Feeny, but it also wants to be able to deal with Scissor, wants to be able to deal with Mew at the same time, but it also wants to be able to deal with X, Y, Z. So it's just that. And Scarf is really the one that's like just being used. I don't know. It's interesting because I would think that Protein Greninja would actually rise with, you know, lack of Dougie and the fact that Toxapex is everywhere. You don't have to pay, like you could just click Extra Sensory and whatnot. Dark Pulse, like Mew Ferrothorn should be screaming Dark Pulse HP Fire, like Protein Greninja, but
you can legit see games where Protein Greninja, well,
not just wins, but like balanced teams, it just breaks through them completely, especially with Tangrowth lowering in usage. Like,
well, you know, recently, you know, I've been watching training games with it, and I mean, it's, you said hit the head on the nail. Like it really does suffer from 4 move syndrome, along with the fact, you know, there's mons like Mantine having Rosen usage, and it's able to consistently keep passes off from Protein Greninja. Yeah. Along with the fact, you know, Mega Gyarados Rose, it doesn't like that. Also doesn't like Toxapex, like Magearna, like the meta. Okay, basically the meta game just, Protein does not appreciate the meta game. That's why it's dropping. It just doesn't appreciate all the things that are relevant in the meta game.
Could literally change though at any moment if something's revealed that shifts the meta.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be move tutors coming in Ultra that probably will change them.
Yeah. Oh, Battle Ball with Gunk Shot. Woo. That'd be fun. But yeah, we'll move on from that. Zygarde, A+ to A. Really, I feel like everybody prostrated. The fact that Landers can run leftovers now with Toxic Protect. Even Fizz Def Celesteela is a thing. So it actually takes 1,000 arrows, Leech Seed protects, takes the next one after, and can beat it. I think Mew also being on every team is pretty big. Though one set that's really decent with Zygarde is definitely Dragon Dance Dragonium. Like that's a set that can break through Celesteela, Toxapex.
That's the only set I'm a fan of recently. I don't think Bandit.
Yeah, Choice Band isn't as good. Though it still is a natural pivot to Zard Y, and you can just run fat Choice Band and still have your priority extreme speed, which is pretty cool versus offense and whatnot. But yeah, it's just not. I don't know. Auroraville teams really fell off as well. Like there's still a good playstyle that I think is still very scary depending on your team. But we can say that about anything though. But and Zygarde can just set up on that, and Zygarde's just really good when it sets up. But I don't know. Rise of Quagsire stall even though Nowhere Clef pretty much beat it unless it got crit. Yeah, Zygarde just dropped.
Groundium Z
rose up. Yeah, Groundium Z is also another cool one. Breaking through Toxapex. How dare you try and haze stall me? Or Celesteela being knocked down and then Groundium Z can knock it out. Lanner, same thing, which is really cool with Zygarde. It actually has some usage in Ubers as well. Mew, A to A-. Why?
The meta game changing and adapting to its presence. Things like Chandelier Rising. You know, it's just like Amon. When you see Amon rise, generally speaking, you're probably going to see it drop soon because the metagame will just adjust. Unless you're just a crazy mom that you really can't adjust much like Lando, you know. But yeah, no, the metagame rose. I mean, Mew, honestly, it's still fantastic. Like, it can still rise again. Like, it can do everything. It can set up rocks. You know what the scariest set, honestly, of Mew right now? It's not even like setting up rocks. It's not even, no, the scariest set is Psyche MZ. That is the scariest set you want to face.
Genesis Supernova?
Yeah, so Supernova. Excuse me, Supernova. That's you don't want to face that set. It's scary as hell to face.
It has the coverage to just beat balance in itself.
I've done that tons of times.
Move. Yeah, really solid on that. I don't know. Like I feel even with Gren rising and whatnot, like Mew burns Gren and then you Toxapex infinitely stall. So I'm not sure how I feel about
Generally speaking, like what you would do is like, you know, you'd have like, it's funny because Magearna's like become a Wisp absorber. Like you go Magearna, you absorb the Wisp, you volt switch out, go to whatever. Yeah, go whatever measure you have.
It's funny because Mew also rose in popularity because of Magearna. So like it could actually beat it 1v1 Will-O-Wisp Roost if it was like Shift Gear and whatnot. And then because of that, Magearna became Shift Gear Combine Leftovers, and then that changed, and it's really cool to think about. But Yeah, it's still a decent defogger. Ice Beam checking Zygarde. Zygarde lowering usage, I guess, also hurts it a little bit. Pinch is a weird one because Pinch is literally a mon you could throw on a team, especially with Zapdos falling in usage. You just click return with it. You don't even predict. You attack what's in front of you. It's like, I would compare it to just 3-attack Zard, except it can actually afford to use SD because it does have priority. And, you know, no roost. But
it doesn't have to worry about things like Talonflame anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You pair it with... It's literally, Pincer Zone has been great since it came out, and it's still amazing right now.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know. Tangrowth fell in usage. It's weird because the Pokemon above it can like all beat Tangrowth to an extent. So that might have to do with it, but then they all fell anyway, which is weird.
Tangrowth is weird. It's just.
It's not. I feel like it's just not necessary to check Ashgren anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of monsters that just abuse it, like Toxapex, for example.
Yeah, T-Spike's toxic.
Clefable, you know, there's just a lot of, you know, monsters that just...
Hey, but
Mega
Knockoff's still good, bro, though.
Mega Venusaur. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's knocking things off. But, as we said earlier, like, excuse me, mons like Toxapex, they don't need their leftovers, their items, generally speaking, at the time. You know, Tangrowth, when it's... I don't think there will be a time when it's bad. I've used it on teams and it's still crazy effective.
Yeah, it's still a great pivot, like... But not. Like I said, guys, we're not going to go over all these. Garchomp, that's also another odd one to me. SD can still break through literally every balanced team running around.
I'm not a... Oh, yeah, I mean, me personally, I've never been a fan of Garchomp because I feel like it never... No, I'm not going to say never, but like, the chances of it really getting a free SD are kind of slim. It's going to have to...
it has to switch in on a lot, yeah.
I'm a fan of Citrus Berry. I definitely not... Like, I don't know, I just don't... It's... Scarf I don't like. I think Scarf, you know, you're just useless, generally speaking, in a lot of matchups. You're generally speaking, there's been games where literally my Church Scarf Garchomp will literally just be there to force mons out so I can pivot to another mon, you know. Yeah, I was pretty sure I was very much pro of this.
I mean, I still think it's really good versus, like, I've also seen SD Fire MZ or SD Life Orb is still pretty cool. Breaking through Celesteela. Smacking, well, Dragon Only MZ obviously helps it beat Landorus.
Yeah, Fire MZ, yeah, that's a fire. I love blowing away Celesteela, yeah, that's a fire.
Yeah, I think it's cool, but I understand why I guess it fell. Metacham, A- to B+. It's weird because this mon was really hype. This mon is still ridiculous, one, okay? It's the fact that all the mons were running Protect. Like if you didn't have Protect Landorus, if you didn't have Toxapex to pivot in on it, Sableye, even Sableye, like Sableye gets 2 KO now by Thunder Punch and Electric Terrain, which is really cool. Like this mod actually got a buff. Surprised it fell down. I think it's just tough to add to your team, but like versus slower teams, it just breaks through very easily.
Yup. Yeah. No, it's a scary mon. I already mentioned a team that's super effective on Coco, Metacham, Celesteela, Toxapex, Serp.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and Charizard, we'll just leave it at Toxapex, like literally that.
Yeah.
Toxapex, Latios, Scarf being literally everywhere. I think probably the best. I think Scarf Latios besides Karen is like the best Scarfer.
To cover most of these, just to simply say like a lot of those mons like Charizard, Kingdra, and like Suku, a lot of those dropped because of Toxapex and Mantine usage. A lot of those dropped.
Yeah, so we're not really going to be talking about the rest of these mons. You can go through if you want, and there are reasonings for literally everything here.
Yeah, shout out to my man Gary. He does a great job.
Yep. But we'll go to the last one, and I think we're not going to cover everything on this one either, but a few main ones before we talk about the rises. Slowbro, literally Battle Bond, Gran, and Toxapex. Toxapex Toxic and pivot out. You would think Slowbro would be a great anti-Metamon because it can just run a little bit of speed, be fast, and Toxapex calm mind up and hit it with Psychic. So I think it actually has the potential to be a great anti-Metamon. But the Greninja, Coco, Kyurem Black, Fusion Bolt with an Electric Terrain, all that stuff, just keeping it down low. Venusaur. But like Coco was like, Slowbro, Mega Slowbro rather, specifically, is one of those mons that can actually set up on Pokemon like Tangrowth and Venusaur. Like if it has one calm mind, it beats them 1v1. So it's odd to me, especially a mon that can beat Scissor that's not running SD at all. U-turn's doing like 26%. It's a Mega Slowbro, maybe less.
Mantine. I would say Mantine.
Yeah, Toxic.
Yeah, Toxic Haze it, you know. Mantine's really good. It's really good.
I mean, Greninja stops literally Tornadus, Starmie, and Slowbro from being high in usage just on its own. And obviously the Electric type Koko as well. If we go rise back up, we go to Hoopa. Hoopa's just a pain to switch into, dude. Like, finding out it's set is a problem too. You don't know if it's physical or special. Banded, Hyperspace Fury, Specs, Dark Pulse.
What do you think? What do you think is the best set?
It depends on my team, but I actually like Specs a lot. I love Specs. The only problem with Specs is I think you should run Psychic. And also, actually no, don't run Psychic. Run Hyperspace Hole.
Okay. Yeah.
That way, Unaware Clef can't protect versus you. And you 2 KO that boy on a wish. But yeah, I think Bandit is ridiculous to switch into. I love how it moved up as well. But Specs is crazy because it doesn't care if you switch from your Toxapex to your Celesteela. Celesteela is taking like 30% anyway, plus rocks. Dark Pulse is 2 KOing everything. I love how it rolls in usage as well. Dugtrio being banned is definitely a big one. Like, Dugtrio would just come in and trap this thing and it's dead. You don't have to worry about it. But
I wasn't a fan of this Rising. It was a big train of hype around this mon. I still have yet to see it honestly be like effective, or at least to the point where, at least, you know, kind of like I haven't seen like any reminiscence like of what it used to be like in last gen when it was banned. So I wasn't really a big fan of it rising. But, you know, one of the reasons it did rise though was, you know, it's able to force out things like Mew pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can run Life Orb and you can clean. I mean, you can pressure a lot of things, but you know, that's just.
I like how Volcanion rose up. That subset was really cool to see. Being able to sub up on Toxapex and then kind of beating it 1v1. Especially if you're running Tectonic Rage, Earth Power. Or you can even run Sub Shuko, which is pretty cool. And yeah, just breaking through those fat teams, so I understand that. Tapu Fini faces a lot of competition as Defog. We'll just quickly go over these. Kartana runs it. Scissor is a great Defogger. Mew can even do it. Heracross fell down. Toxapex plus Clefable plus Celesteela plus Landorus. Toxic Protect, literally stalling it out. That's not to say it's not a good mon because you can literally SD up and break through all those, but it doesn't get to SD up for free versus any of those mons. Leech Seed, Toxics, Will-O-Wisps, things like that. Moonblast, for example. Sad that Araquanid is unranked, but I understand it. It doesn't really have that. Unless you're on a rain team, it doesn't really have that. And it's still like, it doesn't beat Pex, Mega Venus, or Ferrothorn. It can actually beat them though, if you're running Spiderweb, Breast. Like, you can literally stall them out if you want to. But that's something you don't have to.
I attempted that. I actually did try that. And I never was able to stall out. Wait, how do you stall them out?
You Spiderweb them when they come in, and you just freaking rest. That's it. If rain is up, you liquidate. Like Toxapex, you basically, the thing is to stall it out of recovers. So not stall it, not make it struggle stall, but stall out recovers by repeatedly clicking liquidation. You get defense drops as well. So if it's not running Haze, if it's running Toxapex Toxic, you can actually beat it 1v1. It can't do any damage to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Regular Slowbro, just not there to take the it just doesn't take the hits anymore, man. Physical Koko with Z. Again, we talked about Gren, Magearna being able to pivot, Ferrothorn on every team. And then we'll see how the metagame changes. Dragonite doesn't really have that many opportunities to do anything besides the Fly MZ. It was pretty cool on Bird Spam, but Tapu Koko kind of just stops that in its own right. It was really cool how one Pokemon could stop an entire tier. Gardevoir fell down in usage, which is odd. I think a lot of this has to do with the nerf to the 8 abilities. Because before, you used to just pick up 2 KOs easily with Hyper Voice and Psyshock. Let's see what they have here. But I'm assuming it's just the Scizor, Ferrothorn, Mew usage, Kartana. Yeah, besides that, I think, no, we don't really have to talk much about it. We've been talking for like an hour. But yeah, we've just been going over these guys.
Did we cover Volcanion? Did we cover Volcanion?
I talked about sub, being able to set up on like the fatter teams, for example, Celesteela.
Yeah, Shuckleberry. I mean, it's a pretty scary mon, legit. Like if it like
hits all its moves.
Yeah. If it's all its moves and it burns out everything, you know, it's a pain.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. You guys can leave your thoughts down below on some of these rises and drops. I'll leave all this stuff down below as well, so you guys can all check it out. But again, the idea of this is to just give you a look at the tier and maybe make it easier for you guys to team vote if you want to do something like that and get into a tier. They have these for all the tiers, and it definitely is something that if you're trying to get into a new tier, it helps you out. But I thank everybody for watching and just listening to us talk about Pokemon for an hour. Check out NJNP. His link will be down below. And you have anything else to say, bro?
No, I just want to, thank everyone that helps us run the Viability Rankings thread. Shout out to all my ranking members and teams, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Goodbye, friends.